Just grinding some corn. Even on vacation, we gotta work.
Actually looks pretty easy.
Does it?
I'm good with that.
Doing a pretty good job. Right inside of the log. And it's tall enough you don't have to bend over. You don't have to do it all, let somebody else.
I want to make some cornbread.
In comparison to modern kiln fire.
Right.
Because again, there's so many variables that you just can't control. Like if a gust of wind comes through and adjusts the temperature on your firing, you know,
right.
that's nothing you can't control that.
Right.
But if it does happen, a lot of times you'll see that it's too drastic of a temperature change on the piece, and you end up with cracking of pots and things like that. So that's the downside of doing it traditionally. But that's what was being done here. And so me and my friend Anastasia have been working here at our museum and we're the ones who produce all of our pottery for our site.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yes, sir. So what we're doing now is just trying to get some of our pottery fired up and see how it does.
Good deal. So, the old broken pieces of pottery, is that what you use for your kiln? You make the kiln out of that?
Essentially, yeah. I'll put a little wall down
to protect the actual pot.
Yeah.
You know, so like a floor.
Okay, I got
And then
you.
that
I
way
got
the
you.
pot can go on top of those pieces.
So you'll set the
Right.
broken pottery down, and you put the pot
Right,
on top
and
of
then
that.
the pot
Exactly.
is definitely preheated. Those pieces are preheated, so everything should be preheated.
So you just built the kiln out of wood, basically.
Pretty much.
Ah.
So we have to hope that that's...
So then I got you. I understand now. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool process. Unfortunately, it can be very nerve-wracking.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Because yeah, again, with the variations in firing, you know, there is no guarantee it'll make it. So
How long does it take to fire it once you start?
we will be firing this piece for pretty much the rest of the day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you won't know till tomorrow, basically, if it's any good or not.
Good possibility.
Okay.
Good possibility.
Cool.
Wow.
Do you want me to put this log in this?
Well,
It takes
I
that
got
long
the-
for one piece.
I'm just adjusting this side here. But yeah, you can hear that ring that it has.
Oh my gosh, these are, oh my goodness gracious.
But yeah, these ones here, these four, I've already used in a previous firing. And
Okay.
so that's why they're a different color.
I got you. So you're just basically the coals. Does the wood you're stacking around there, does it actually burn too, or does
Oh,
it?
it will,
It's
yeah.
gonna,
Okay.
yeah, it's gonna, all of it's gonna go.
Yeah, I just want to give myself enough room in here so that way when I put the piece in, I'll have enough room in here for the pot, and it will be a high enough wall that it's not going to be hitting the roof of the kiln.
I got you.
Take the time to get these really straight with a jig. There are options. You'll also see stone jigs being made where you might see a pumice stone or something that's easier to drill a hole through being used rather than antler.
Is river cane what was normally used?
It's one of the very typical ones. You will see sometimes hickory arrow shafts or arrow wood being used, but river cane is probably the easiest thing to use,
Okay.
and there is a lot of it in this region, especially before you know, a lot of ecological changes happen.
Right.
There's a lot. Cane breaks would have just lined these rivers alongside cattails and oyster reefs and a lot of
Okay.
other things. And because when they're growing really dense, they're going to grow nice and straight. It's just a very convenient arrow shaft to use. And then foreshafts would have been very common, so they're putting their stone or other types of point material into a hardwood shaft. and then that would plug into the main arrow shaft, and making these interchangeable and also adding a little bit of lethality. So when those separate, the point is remaining in the head of that animal, or rather the arrowhead is remaining in that animal. The shaft is falling away and opening up that wound channel, making it go a lot faster for that animal, as well as making the tracking a little bit easier. Blood, more stuff to follow, arrow falling out, and it's going to be going a lot less further away when it runs off, so less challenging to track. So it adds a lot of modularity, making it convenient to switch out arrowheads, but it also does add some lethality. And if that point breaks, you just pull it out and put a new one in. You don't have to cut that point out or break away the glue, or potentially cut your arrow shaft shorter. And all those sorts of things.
But used for glue, pine tar.
You could use a pine pitch glue. It's a little bit brittle, so more often we end up using a hide glue and then covering it with pine pitch if we need it to be waterproof. And that's likely what piloting people are doing as well. Just using the scrapings from the hides, all that collagen, hoof, and sometimes even antler. There's some account of piloting people just boiling down piles of antlers to make glue. Because they're hunting enough deer to, at a certain point, you're going to have byproduct antler that you just aren't really using for anything else. You might as well just cook it down in the glue and make it more storable, because you can dry that glue into a powder, keep it in a bag, and just add water to it, and heat it up in a little piece of pottery, just like a modern hide glue.
Gotcha. They had 3 boats. I can't remember the one. Susan Constant was the one. The one's name was Godspeed, and I can't remember the other one's name. We'll show them to you. Them's the 3. Well, they're not. They would have been the ones that brought the settlers over from England to Virginia to settle Virginia. Originally back in 1608, I think. 1607, sorry.
Yeah.
1607.
I love this part of it, seeing the ships.
We'll get on them after a bit. There's a lot of people on now.
I was thinking they were crazy. Why do we go down this side? British? I would say yes.
Up on the ship, way by.
Oh, you can get on these too.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that when we was back here, but I didn't read the other day that there was only one of them was open. The rest of them closed.
Stay down there.
Discovery. Godspeed.
She's the least crowded of the 3, so she does have that going for her. But yeah, she'll have a little ride.
So instead of the other ships that you read that, so this one stayed here.
That right there is the name of an island in North Carolina.
Topsail.
They named that island Topsail because pirates would drop their topsail and hide from the English and Spanish ships, and then they would pull the topsail up, and then they would come out around the bay and get to. That's how that island got its name, Topsail.
Oh, okay.
Sí, o al menos queda bien.
And they got speed. "39 passengers, 13 crew." See, it's closed.
Oh.
One's closed. I must have read it backwards because I thought it was one was open, but it shows one closed. So maybe I read that backwards. Pretty traffic back there.
Oh wow, the traffic over there.
We're going ferry.
Oh, that's for the ferry boat.
Yes, the ferry. The James Ferry.
Okay. Wow. I wonder how many that holds.
I don't know. A ferry many.
So not great for them. And then the place that they choose is not the greatest.
Yeah.
It is an island.
Bad call.
It is an island. It's surrounded by water and swamp. Not great. When they get here, the James River is relatively fresh, but it's a brackish river, so it'll turn salty. So they dig their wells not as deep, so their wells get contaminated. And yeah, they constantly are on the verge of running out of food because they plan on these replenishments every 6 months or every year, never on time. One of the worst ones, of course, is 1609 to 1610, which is known as the starving time at Jamestown, where 80% of your colony is going to die. So much so that when supplies actually get here, because some of them are separated in a storm, shipwrecked, all sorts of things, when one part of them does get here and they see what's left, they're like, let's go back to England, we'll try this back. Once we get all the supplies, they bury the cannons and all that, so technically, yes, they abandoned Jamestown. But before they can get out of the river, the governor gets here, turns them around, which actually works out for them because on that ship is John Rolfe, who is bringing with them a variant of tobacco that is a sweet variant, and ultimately what will make them money. So it's not gold or silver that makes them money. If you don't know, it's a plant called tobacco. And that's the cash crop of Virginia.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course.
They brought that from the Caribbean, though, right?
We don't know exactly where he gets it from, but he comes from the Caribbean with it.
Okay.
So we don't know if he
Excuse me.
picks it up in the Caribbean or if he trades for it somewhere. We don't know. But he brings that with him, and that's ultimately what makes the money here. Tobacco is native to Virginia, but the native Virginia tobacco very bitter tasting, and the English don't like it. The sweet variant, though, they love it, and it gives them a direct source and access to it. Tobacco is already part of the world economy at this time period, but this gives England a direct source to it, so they can tax it as they see fit and make all the money off of it. Because it's normally coming to them from India and other places where they have to pay taxes to, well, where the Arab nations have to pay taxes to the Indian nations, and then they have to pay taxes to the Arab nations, and so on and so forth. It becomes so expensive. But once they get a direct access to it, they don't have to pay that much, but they can tax as much as they want to people in England. And then in 1650, they put the Navigations Act, which basically restricts any colony here in North America or Virginia from trading anywhere else. So they basically corner the market. And then by 1640, they do also control the sugarcane fields down in Jamaica, so they now control 2 major parts of the world market.
Sugar and tobacco.
Yes, this is the rise of England and the decline of Spain during this century. So,
Gotcha.
yep. And it all starts on a swampy island called Jamestown.
One thing is for sure, down here in Williamsburg, Jamestown area, the weather is freaking gorgeous. It is so beautiful here. At home, the leaves are pretty much gone. Down here, they're still all green. Sun's shining, beautiful.
What are we going into here?
We're going into the Jamestown settlement. And there you go.
Kapow!
Bazinga. Listen to what they're talking about.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, unless you really threaten his hens, he's usually pretty cool about it. unlike this, you know, we're a rooster who's not used to being around people all the time. So.
Yeah.
So what are you doing here? Cooking here?
Yeah, I'm doing some baking today, so we'll do some sort of food work every day. Might be baking things out here, cooking in the house behind you. We might just do that one pot meal that everyone's going to be getting. Or if your name is Lord Delaware, you bring your own cook with you. And we have those cookbooks, so we'll do what I call governor dishes sometimes. We brew beer in the spring and the fall. Which, how are these two young ladies' beer skills coming along, ma'am? They learn, you doing pretty well in making beer? Because this is 17th century, that's what moms did. That's what moms did, you know, to keep all the family in good health, and it was also a means of making some side money for the family at that time, too.
I do not know where Carly went.
Ricky likes you. He's hanging around right there by you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
You just got the 3 chickens? 2 hens
Three
and a
hens,
rooster? Oh, you got 3
4
hens.
hens, 1 rooster.
Okay.
Carpenters at 1607, they call that a clock.
So where are you folks visiting us from?
Western Maryland.
Well, good to have you here.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're in the latter stages of preheating the oven right now.
Yeah.
That last piece of wood burned down. I'll then clean all the embers out of it and allow it to cool down to bread heat. So yeah, bread's going to be an important part of the daily diet.
Right.
Yeah, commercial bakers are here by 1608.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But I remind visitors, we're just showing you 4 years. Everything is being shipped in. You know, finished goods, food. You are supplementing. You know, this is one way to supplement your diet. This is another way to supplement it. And also just bring in vegetables from home.
Right.
Trying them out here. Yeah, if you want to see the musket demonstration, my colleague Parker's going out right now.
So this would be after John Smith turned things around.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that first year they were living in tents and lean-tos inside of the Palisades.
Right.
He puts them into proper housing, but once he leaves, that's when that period called the starving time happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a 3.5 month blip on the whole history of Jamestown. It was a special set of circumstances. It was a military action launched by Chief Powhatan.
17th century, but they weren't cast and painted red typically. But this is one we use to clamp down a tool that we use off-site every week to refill the week's worth of paper cartridges that we use on our musket firing demonstration. If you haven't seen that demonstration yet, it takes place outside the gate over there every half hour at the quarter hour. But we make up paper tubes throughout the week for those cartridges. Then one day of the week, usually Sunday, but you know, today had to be Wednesday because no one has been able to do it this week. One of us will fill that ammo. And somewhere in the week and a half since I last had to fill ammo before today when I did it again, the handle that has been on that allows you to crank that down, clamp the tool, the loading tool to the table, has gone wonkies. At some point I will track down whatever interpretive twit managed to lose it, because I know it was in the box when I put it away last week, because I had to damage one of my tools improvising a solution to this. It's not a damage I can fix it. It's the principle. Like,
right.
You know, if I have a feeling I know who it is, and at some point I'll say Patricia. Yeah, but at any rate, in the meantime, we have a job that needs a simple fix, and that's actually putting me very much in line with what the blacksmith was all about at Jamesport in 1610, 1607, 1610. They weren't here to make everything that the colonists needed. They were here to repair, maintain, and if need be, replace. And if that seems a little odd, well, despite what the movies try to tell you, what I just described is the actual job of the blacksmiths in England as well, not making swords.
Right.
And if you wonder why I picked that one out of the blue, well, it's not out of the blue. It's what you mostly see in the modern movies for blacksmiths. And it's the one thing that gets up my nose because I am a swordsmith when I'm not working here. I'm a shop 5 miles up the road. So in the last 3 years, my supervisor has actually asked me to make a couple of swords here as well. So I think I can honestly say I'm the current resident cutler swordsmith. But our master smith is an excellent museum blacksmith. He can do pretty much what needs to be done. And if he hasn't done something at this point, he can usually study what needs to be fixed or replaced or replicated and figure out a way to do it. And that's exactly what the blacksmiths did. That was their main job back in India. But in the meantime, you also had all the different specialists who you're probably not going to be able to persuade to come over here, but would rather make the items for the J Company on a nice fat, kind of sort of government contract, and then you can ship them over and have this. So what I'm doing is just heating this piece of nail stock up to make a what will be sort of a not quite Z-shaped crank. Now hopefully we made it such a way that they can't take it back off of it, but will allow us to tighten that clamp down nicely. So I'm just working back a little bit further each time, using the hammer, the heat in the hammer to stretch and thin out the metal down to a diameter that will fit through that existing hole.